Namaste everyone. This morning I'll continue the discussions on Gayatri Mantra as I've been doing over the last 3 times. The last time I talked about Bhuvaha, and before that 2 times I talked about Bhuhu. And so some of the questions I raised the last time was, if as long as there is birth there would be pain, and no one can escape the cyclical aspect of sukh and dukh, joy and pain. It means that even if we do bhakti, if we are devotees, if we obey the rules of Paramatma as much as we know it, and as we grow in our knowledge of the divine rules and laws of creation, we try and obey those rules to the best of our ability, we would still incur dukh in our life as a result of our limited knowledge. Sometimes we make mistakes unknowingly. The question is, how does Paramatma remove our dukh? Or the question is, when we have dukh, how does Paramatma allow us to overcome that dukh? Well, Maharishi Dayanand Satyar Prakash, he says that when the devotee contemplates and does upasana, expresses devotion of the divine, then Paramatma grants that person immense inner strength, so that even if there is immense pain, even there is immense suffering, that person would not become agitated or aggravated or become overwhelmed by that pain. On the contrary, that person would have the inner strength. The person would have the inner strength, faith and courage from Paramatma to tolerate all that pain and sufferings and not lament about it. In Ayurveda describes people from a perspective of the gunas, and it says that there are some people who are sattva pradhan, in other words, they have wonderful qualities, and then some are rajas pradhan, a bit less than wonderful, and some are tamas pradhan, not as good qualities as sattva. Sattva and rajas are the extremes. Rajas is in the middle. Ayurveda says sattva pradhan purush, sattva pradhan striyo mein adhik sahan shakti hoti hai. That people who are sattva pradhan, people who have more sattvicness in them, they have more tolerance, they have more capability to tolerate things. And we develop sattvic qualities when we associate, when we do upasana with the divine, when we associate with the divine. See, upasana means, up means near, asana sitting near. In other words, associating with someone is upasana. And whatever we associate with, whether it's a person or a thing, the quality of that person or thing comes in our life. For example, if you are near fire, you'll feel hot. Likewise, if you are near ice, you'll feel cold. Likewise, if you are near someone who has wonderful qualities, some of those qualities would come in you. On the contrary, if you associate with someone who doesn't have good qualities, those negative influences would come in your life also. And so likewise, when we associate with Paramatma, the qualities of Paramatma come in us. Bhuhu come in us. And so we develop that cosmic vision. And Bhuvaha come in us. We have the power to tolerate and to remove all our sufferings. Just as Paramatma is Bhuvaha, and he removes all the sufferings of people in this universe, his devotees. And so that's how Paramatma removes the sufferings of his devotees. It is because the devotee associates with the divine. As a result, the inner quality is cultivated, where the person is no longer overwhelmed by pain and is no longer overjoyed by happiness. In other words, you maintain that balance, and in Gita's language it's called sthit prajna, and in the language of Yoga Darshan it's going beyond the dvandvas. Dvandvas mean you're going beyond the opposites, pain and pleasure, gain and loss, and so on and so forth, and you develop that balanced state of mind where you start seeing things from a different perspective. And so what a next person may see as pain, for you it may be some phase of life. It may be just a next aspect of life. You may see it as part of the cyclical nature of life, that you have moments where there is joy and moments where there is pain, and so you're not overwhelmed, you're not bothered. Just as when you understand the cyclical nature of creation, you have seasonal effects, you have seasonal changes. After summer, you have fall, then you have winter, and so on and so forth. Then you have spring and again, and so on and so forth. And so when we understand pain, then pain wouldn't overwhelm us. And this understanding comes when we associate with Bhu Swarup Paramatma, and we understand that Paramatma, just like the Apan Vayu, that when it functions well, it keeps this body healthy. And likewise, Paramatma, he removes pain and suffering in this universe of his devotees, of anyone who associates and who obeys the laws. It's just like a good student. Teachers set standards for their students on the first day of class. Look, here are the rules of our class. These are the procedures we'll follow. If you follow these rules, everything will be fine. If you do not, you'll have consequences. Well, it's the same thing for Paramatma. Paramatma tells us, look, here are the rules of life. The rules of life are in the Ved. If you follow these rules, then everything will be fine. If you don't, you'll have consequences. And so, you follow the rules, your dukh would be less. And that's how Paramatma is Bhuvaha, because he gives us that strength, that knowledge, that wisdom to obey his rules. And he gives us that strength of mind and body, so that even when we face sufferings, because sometimes we may violate the rules, as I said, because of our limitations, but the grace of that divine being, of Bhuvaha, comes in us, and we overcome the pain of our life. And so, what's the connection between Bhu and Bhuvaha? Well, Bhu, giver of life, Bhuvaha, remover of sorrows. And as I said, Paramatma is Bhu, because just as he gives life to every being in this universe, he gives opportunities. His bounties are for every being in this universe. And likewise, when we understand this, and we also create opportunities for others, when we also extend ourselves, we go beyond ourselves, we remove selfishness from our life. Slowly. It's a process. It cannot be done overnight. And so as we do this, and we broaden our mental horizon, Om Maha, we become more generous, then you don't have Swart. And you don't have Swart, you don't have Dukh. Because Swart, selfishness, and pain are associated. People who are very selfish, you'll find they're in a lot of pain. The more we can go beyond selfishness and become like Pran Swarup Paramatma, the more we'll find our life is a joy and it's full of generosity and so on and so forth. And this idea of Bhu flows on to the idea of Bhuvaha. When you can extend yourself, well, you remove all the pain. And just as Paramatma has no selfishness, likewise Paramatma has no pain. And Paramatma is called Bhu because Dukh se rahit. And so likewise, when we understand the Bhu aspect of Paramatma, we'll also understand the Bhuva aspect of Paramatma. Because we have no selfishness, then we have no pain. And so that's how the two words are connected. Now the third word is Swaha. And this is the last of the Mahavyahriti. And remember I said the Mahavyahriti is so called because it removes pain from all sides in a unique way. And that's why it's called Mahavyahriti. Swaha means Sukha Swarup. Swaha, from the word Swaha also the word Swarga is formed. And so Swaha and its connection with Swarga, I'll talk about it in the next lecture. And there's a connection. So Swaha is Sukha Swarup, Paramatma who is total joy, who is total bliss. And Swaha, Swasmin Gacchati Sukham Prapnoti Iti Swargaha. Swarg is that state of mind where a person experiences Sukha Swarup Paramatma. You experience Paramatma who is that unalloyed source of bliss and joy. And so Swaha and Swarg, there's a connection between these two. and there's a connection between Bhur Bhuvaha Swaha, which I'll talk about in my next